Good evening. I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting for the City of Wheat Ridge, Colorado for November 22nd, 2021. Would you please stand as you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll of the members?
Ms. Nosler-Beck. Ms. Dozman.
Here.
Mr. Stites.
Present.
Ms. Saltine.
Present.
Ms. Hoppy. Ms. Weaver.
I'm here.
Mr. Ohm.
Here.
Ms. Hutchinson.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, 7 of the 8 councils are present. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Our next item of business is the approval of the minutes, and we have in our packet the minutes of October 25th, 2021. I found several items that I think the clerk would like to correct on those. So if, with the council's permission, I'd like to postpone review of these minutes until we have a revised copy. Okay, so ordered. Okay, and we have a proclamation. So I will go to the podium. We have a proclamation tonight in support of Small Business Saturday, and I would like to invite the following people to the podium with me. Dominic Breton, if Dominic is here, and Christine Jensen with the Wheat Ridge Business Association, and Lowry Burnett. I don't know if Lowry Burnett with the Wheat Ridge Business Association. We have Kate Cook here, and Tad Overstreet. So this is a proclamation for Small Business Saturday, November 27th, 2021. Whereas the City of Wheat Ridge recognizes the importance of local small businesses and significant contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 31.7 million small businesses in the United States that employ 47.1% of the employees in the private sector. And whereas small businesses are critically important to the overall economic health of the United States, highlighting the impact of supporting local small businesses in communities like Wheat Ridge. And whereas Wheat Ridge local businesses create jobs, boost our local economy, and contribute to the vibrancy of our neighborhoods. And the City of Wheat Ridge remains committed to providing entrepreneurs and small business owners the support they need to thrive and grow. And whereas advocacy groups, local governments, and public and private organizations, including Local Works, the Wheat Ridge Chamber of Commerce, and the Wheat Ridge Business Association, support the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore I, Bud Starker, Mayor of the City of Wheat Ridge, do hereby proclaim November 27, 2021 as Small Business Saturday. And I want to provide each of you. So welcome, and I'm either going to have a few words to speak.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Thank you so much for this recognition. The Wheat Ridge Business Association brings the business community together with purpose to educate, train, and connect its members to help promote and grow our local economy. Each member is invited to actively participate in our programs and at our networking events, so you may establish relationships and partnerships with others in the business community. We also provide resources for the business community in various ways, and those can be found on our website and on our Facebook page. Our monthly breakfast meetings are open to guests and members and held at 7 a.m. on the second Tuesdays of every month. However, this coming month will be our annual Christmas luncheon, and we'd like to invite members and guests to join us on Tuesday, December 7th at 11 a.m. at the Vista at Applewood Golf Course. We also have BizMix on the third Wednesday of every month, monthly coffee networking on the fourth Wednesday from 8 to 9 a.m. The WRBA believes that networking is the key to growing your business, so we can provide opportunities throughout the month. You can find more details at www.wheatridgebiz.com. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for behalf of all small businesses in the city of Wheat Ridge and members of Chamber of Commerce and Wheat Ridge Business Association and Local Works. Just want to thank you for your support. It's appropriate that Small Business Saturdays, Thanksgiving weekend, it gives us time to pause and say thank you to all of you, and to thank, and for us to thank our community that we serve. And we look forward to seeing lots of people on Saturday.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Kate with Local Works here in Wheat Ridge. We're a nonprofit that partners with the city, our residents, and local businesses to promote and engage our residents and support and promote our businesses. We are thrilled to be part of Small Business Saturday this year. It is just a pleasure to be partnering with the Chamber and the Wheat Ridge Business Association to promote our local businesses here in Wheat Ridge. We love telling their stories, providing events where people can connect with these businesses and learn why they do business here in Wheat Ridge. So thank you for your support of small businesses.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I know you're going to hear it again tonight, but find it and buy it in Wheat Ridge. Thank you. Okay, unless there's any changes noted, we will let the agenda stand as presented. So ordered. We are now at our public's right to speak. You may come and speak on any matter not on the agenda for 3 minutes. And I do not have anyone signed up to speak under public's right to speak, but if you didn't sign up and would like to, you may do so now, or you can come to the podium, and I'll ask our clerk if there's anyone online with their hand raised that would like to speak under public's right to speak.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, seeing none, we will move ahead to the next item on the agenda, which is our consent agenda item number 1. Ms. Dozeman, would you please introduce this item?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Consent agenda item 1A, motion to cancel the December 27, 2021 regular business meeting of the Wheat Ridge City Council due to the Christmas holiday. Consent agenda item 1B, motion to appoint council member Hulteen to the Sustainable Wheat Ridge Committee.
May I have a motion on consent agenda items 1A and 1B?
I move to approve consent agenda items 1A and 1B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Stites. Would the clerk please poll the council?
Mr. Mayor, the motion has passed unanimously.
Thank you. We will go to agenda item number 2. Councilor Ohm, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce Council Bill number 19-2021, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at 6011 West 44th Avenue from restricted commercial to mixed-use commercial. At issue is the applicant is requesting approval of a zone change from restricted commercial to mixed-use commercial for property located at 6011 West 44th Avenue. The zone change will result in a zoning that more accurately reflects surrounding conditions and other nearby zoning designations.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on second reading. It is a public hearing. It is quasi-judicial. Mr. Dahl, should I open the public hearing now?
Yes, if you would, we can make the record in the hearing.
I would like to open the public hearing And this is quasi-judicial. If you intend to give testimony on this item, then by fact of giving testimony, you agree to give the truth as you understand it in this matter. I'd like to go to our attorney, Mr. Dahl, for a preliminary matter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As council saw last meeting, Councilmember Ohm is a new member, of course, on the council and was previously on the Planning Commission. And last meeting, we made a little record of matters on which he had been a Planning Commission member, and we need to make a record to enable his participation as a council member. I went back and looked at the 2019 minutes for when this was handled, when Councilmember Weaver had been previously a Planning Commission member, and observed that I'd similarly recommended that this procedure be followed. So with that in mind, I'd like to replicate the procedure that we did last time. Councilmember Ohm, if I can ask you a few questions, and then I'll suggest a motion for the council. Councilmember Ohm, is it true that you were on the Planning Commission when this particular case was heard by the commission?
Correct.
And did you vote on that application as a commissioner?
Correct.
Councilmember Ohm, despite this, do you believe that you can render a fair decision on the application before you today based on the record that is to be made before the City Council?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Members of the council, this is a proper motion that council can take under Charter Section 4.10. Councilmember Ohm does not vote on this, does not participate on this particular motion, and should be shown as recusing. A proper motion would be to approve Councilmember Ohm's participation in the deliberation and decision on Council Bill 19-2021 based on his answers to the questions posed by the city attorney.
Thank you. I will ask my Mayor Pro Tem to make so motion.
Thank you. And if I did not get that wording fast enough, Mr. Dahl.
Sure.
but
I can restate it, and you can say so moved if you like. Proper motion would be moved to approve Councilmember Ohm's participation in the discussion deliberation on Council Bill 19-2021 based on his answers to the questions posed by the city attorney.
Okay, I'd like to approve Councilmember Ohm to participate in the discussion and deliberation on Council Bill number 19-2021 based on his responses to Mr. Dahl's questions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
The motion has passed by a vote of 5-1 with Ms. Dozman voting nay.
Can we show that Councilmember Ohm is abstaining? It's the yellow button. Thank you. Thank you very much. Councilmember Ohm participates.
Okay, that takes care of our preliminary matter. I believe, Mr. Goff, do we have a staff presentation on this item?
We do. Mr. Scott Cutler, planner with our Community Development Department.
Okay, Mr. Cutler.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Scott Cutler, planner with City Wheat Ridge Community Development, and this is case number WZ2107, a request for approval of a zone change from restricted commercial to mixed-use commercial at 6011 West 44th Avenue. I would like to enter into the record the case file, the zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan, and this digital presentation. The properties within the City of Wheat Ridge and all appropriate notification and posting requirements have been met. Therefore, City Council has jurisdiction to hear the case. This is the subject property outlined in red in the middle of the screen, and it's located at the northwest corner of 44th Avenue and Harlan Street, about 1.2 acres in size. Lakeside is across Harlan Street to the east, and Harlan Street north of 44th Avenue is a busy street that provides access to I-70, Lakeside, and 44th Avenue. The property contains a single-story commercial building that was originally built in 1958 and remodeled in 1995 for a drive-through bank. There's a mix of commercial uses along 44th and Harlan, ranging from small offices, light industrial, and big box retail. There's also some residential to the northwest. Property is currently zoned restricted commercial, which is that red color on the screen, RC, and Harlan and 44th have a variety of commercial zones. RC is the most restrictive zone district in this area. Adjacent properties include a two-story apartment building to the north, three-story office to the west, auto-related uses further north, and a mix of shopping uses, retail, office, and mixed use. And then the Lakeside Shopping Center is to the east and northeast and contains large format retail, including Walmart, Molly's, and drive-through banks. This is a view of the property looking northwest, and the site was most recently used as a U.S. Bank building. Purpose of the zone change is to result in a zoning that more accurately reflects surrounding conditions and other nearby zoning designations. The current RC zoning is a legacy zone district which allows a limited range of commercial and office uses, but is limiting in terms of allowed uses, including retail. And the MUC zone district is intended for major commercial corridors and will allow uses more consistent with those found elsewhere on the corridor. RC was originally designed for and is often seen on small properties with more adjacency to low-density residential. The MUC designation would allow more flexibility for a new user of the building or provide standards for future redevelopment. And the table compares the existing RC zoning to the MUC development standards, most of which would apply if the property were to redevelop. The RC and MUC zone districts have similar development standards, with permitted uses really being the biggest difference. For example, RC allows buildings up to 50 feet tall and has architectural requirements, which is the same for commercial buildings in MUC. In terms of permitted uses, MUC does allow more residential uses, whereas residential is limited in RC. MUC allows commercial corridor uses that are restricted in RC and is designed for larger lots along busy corridors. It allows slightly larger retail uses and some auto-oriented uses, which is reflective of the context of Harlan Street. The design standards in MUC are stricter than other zones, including setbacks, landscaping buffers, and architectural requirements. As far as process goes, we did have a required neighborhood meeting on August 11th, 2021, and there were 3 attendees, and notes of those were included in the staff report. We also sent the application on referral to utility districts and city departments, and there were no concerns or objections. And then before the hearing, the property was posted for 15 days, and letters were sent to property owners within a 600-foot radius. And Planning Commission on October 7th recommended approval of the request. One of the criteria we use to evaluate zone change requests is consistency with the comprehensive plan, and we believe that the proposed MUC zoning is consistent with the policies and goals in the comprehensive plan. The property is at the intersection of a primary commercial corridor, which is Harlan Street, and a neighborhood commercial corridor, 44th Avenue, and the intersection is also designed as a primary gateway. Primary commercial corridor is only in the northern portion of Harlan Street in the city, recognizing that the character in this area really differs from the character of Harlan Street further south. And the designation envisions a corridor with a broad mix of activities. The neighborhood commercial corridor also supports a mix of commercial and residential uses. And a stated goal in the comprehensive plan is to promote reinvestment in property. The zone change request supports the comp plan by enabling investment in the property and aligning the zoning with the city's mixed-use goals for the corridor. Therefore, we are recommending approval of the request for the following reasons. Based on the character and land use patterns in the area, the MUC zone district is more appropriate than RC in terms of allowed land uses, and for that reason, the zone change should not have an adverse effect on the surrounding area. A zone change to MUC is supported by the comp plan, specifically the vision for reinvestment in commercial properties, and the zone change request supports the comprehensive plan by enabling investment in the property and aligning the zoning with the mixed-use goals for the corridor. That is my presentation, and I'm available for questions, as is the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to questions of council, pardon me, I'd like to invite questions from the public or the public to opine on this. I have no one signed up to speak on this, but if you are not here and would like to speak on agenda item number 2, or if you are online and would like to speak on this, now is your opportunity. Either come forward if you're here in the City Council chambers or raise your hand in the Zoom format. And I'll ask the clerk if anyone has raised their hand and would like to speak at this time.
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing no one coming forward, we will close our public comment on this item and go to questions from council. Ms. Hulteen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So taking a look at the mixed-use commercial zoning, what's allowed there, there's a lot of use by right, but do you mind just speaking to, there's several different conditional uses. Can you just explain what would be the process for a conditional use in the MUC zoning?
Yeah, so there are some conditional uses in MUC. A lot of those are the auto-related uses, so drive-throughs, maybe auto sales, some auto repair. And a conditional use is really an extra layer of review for staff. So someone would have to come in and apply for that permit before they were allowed to start operating on the property. That usually allows us to evaluate things like property circulation. So, for example, a drive-through is a little bit more complicated of a site design than if someone was just building retail, because we kind of have to analyze where the flow of traffic goes and just potential for more impacts on surrounding property. So it's just an extra layer of review. It is administrative, but it does allow us to review more than we would if someone just came in with a business license.
Great, thank you. And then my second question is, so with the use by right and conditional use, would the city be looking at different entry points to the property since it is a corner? Like, would they be requiring different curb cuts, or how would that be evaluated for use by right?
That would only really be evaluated if there was a big change of use on the property or with redevelopment. If someone wanted to come in and just use the bank building, there probably wouldn't be any changes, noticeable changes to the property. I think that would be more if there was total redevelopment, and then at that time, staff engineering division would review where access would be.
Okay, great, thank you.
Additional questions from council? Ms. Dozeman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I know a constituent had asked about whether residential would be allowed to go into mixed-use commercial. And
Yes.
yes. So would there be allowed commercial and retail, or would that have to be under a mixed-use neighborhood?
It would be both. So you
Okay.
could have a mix, you could have one, you could have the other.
Okay, so it could be a situation where we would see both residential and commercial in this corner?
That's a possibility. It would be up to the developer in the
Okay.
future.
Thank you.
Additional questions? I had a question, Mr. Cutler. In your write-up on this, it looks like the applicant intends to use the property to be more consistent with the land use that's on 44th and Harlan, and would that indicate a commercial use?
That would be a question for the applicant, and it would be whoever is interested in using the property.
But it could be all residential.
If someone wanted to buy the property from the applicant and redevelop, they could potentially develop as residential. Keep in mind that this is a charter limited property, so 35-foot height limit and 21 units per acre.
Okay.
So it couldn't be like a large apartment building or something like that.
And that would be an administrative review?
Yes, unless someone wanted to plat the property. But like I said, a change of use in any zoning is an administrative review. It would only be if someone wanted to plat or change the zoning again, would it go back to public hearing.
Okay. Ms. Dozeman?
Thank you. So I'm seeing that the acreage is about just over 1 acre, so they would be able to put 21 units on it if it were to be residential?
Yes, and that's consistent with all of the mixed-use zoning
Okay.
and in any property that's not exempt from the density cap.
Does staff by chance know whether the owner is leaning more towards a commercial use versus a residential use, or is it just kind of whatever they can attract?
I don't think we know, but the applicant is here, if you'd like.
Yeah, they're here. If you want to ask that question.
If you want to ask the applicant the question.
Please come up to the podium. Yes, come to the podium, and if you would introduce yourself and, I guess, spell your last name and give us an address, please. And then you may go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Chris Student, S-T-U-D-E-N-T is the last name. I'm a member of the partnership that owns a building at 6011 West 44th Ave.
Okay, Ms. Dozeman, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I guess my question would be whether you have, are leaning more towards a commercial or a residential use for this property?
Okay. Right now our plan is to reuse the existing building. It's about 14,500 square feet. There's some basement space. And so the first floor has about 11,000 square feet. And our hope is to kind of modernize the exterior from a 50s vintage and then 95 remodel bank building to a more attractive retail building. And then remodel the interior and demise it as necessary for retail and service-oriented tenants who come into the neighborhood and want to do business in Wheat Ridge. The number of tenants that want to lease space in the 10 to 15,000 square foot range is a lot smaller than the number of businesses who need 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. So I think we'll have a lot more interest from smaller tenants, in which case we will be demising the building into smaller bays, but keeping the existing structure, modernizing the exterior, and then likely having multiple tenants within the building in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions from council? Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming up to the podium.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no more questions from council before I close the public hearing and ask for motion. So I'm going to close the public hearing, and Mr. Ohm, a motion is in order.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve Council Bill 19-2021, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at 6011 West 44th Avenue from restricted commercial to mixed-use commercial on second reading, and that it takes effect 15 days after final publication for the following reasons. Number one, the Planning Commission has recommended approval of the rezoning after conducting a proper public hearing. Number two, the proposed rezoning has been reviewed by the Community Development Department, which has forwarded its recommendation of approval. Number three, the proposed rezoning has been found to comply with the criteria for review in Section 26-112 of the Code of Laws.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilor Hulteen. Do we have discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
Mr. Mayor, the motion has passed unanimously.
Thank you. We will now go to agenda item number 3. Councilor Hutchinson, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mayor. Council Bill number 22, 2021, an ordinance approving the disposition of Parkland at Stites Park and in connection therewith authorizing an exchange of land to correct the property boundary. At issue, Stites Park is located at the northwest corner of 29th Avenue and Newland Street. At the north side of the park, the playground and basketball court were constructed by the city over a 15-foot sliver of private property. At the west side of the park, the fence, constructed in partnership by the city and adjacent property owner, is located several feet off the property line and into the city-owned park. Approval of this ordinance will facilitate a land exchange between the city and the adjacent property owner to correct these discrepancies. Because this exchange involves parkland, unanimous approval by the entire council is required for the ordinance.
Thank you very much. This is an ordinance on first reading to set the date, time, and location for a public hearing. Ms. Hutchinson, a motion is in order.
I move to approve Council Bill number 22-2021, an ordinance approving the disposition of parkland at Stites Park and in connection therewith authorizing an exchange of land to correct the property boundary on first reading. Order it published, public hearing set for Monday, December 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. as a virtual meeting and in city council chambers if allowed to meet in person on that date per COVID-19 restrictions, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Stites. Would the clerk please poll the council?
Mr. Mayor, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We will now go to agenda item number 4. Councilor Hulteen, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce Council Bill number 23, 2021, an ordinance approving the transfer of 4100 Gray Street through general warranty deed to the County of Jefferson, State of Colorado, in order to place a reverter on the property and return ownership to the City of Wheat Ridge through a commissioner's deed at issue. Following council approval, the city of Wheat Ridge recently purchased a home at 4100 Gray Street for $525,000 with the intent to expand the adjacent Randall Park. Staff worked with Jefferson County Open Space to seek a land conservation partnership grant in the amount of $150,000 to assist in the purchase. As a requirement for open space funding, the property must be made subject to a reverter clause. The formal process requires the city of Wheat Ridge to transfer the property to Jefferson County through a general warranty deed. Once received, Jefferson County will return ownership to the city of Wheat Ridge through a commissioner's deed, imposing the reverter clause requiring that the property be used for public open space, park, or recreational purposes in perpetuity. Pursuant to the Wheat Ridge City Charter, Section 16.5, the unanimous approval of the entire city council by ordinance is necessary to sell or dispose of designated parkland. While the transfer to Jefferson County is not a final disposal, the charter requirement must be followed.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on first reading to set the date, time, and location for a public hearing. Councilor Hulteen, may I have a motion on this item?
I move to approve Council Bill number 23-2021, an ordinance approving the transfer of 4100 Gray Street through general warranty deed to the County of Jefferson, State of Colorado, in order to place a reverter on the property and return ownership to the city of Wheat Ridge through a commissioner's deed on first reading. Order it published, public hearing set for Monday, December 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. as a virtual meeting and in city council chambers if allowed to meet in person on that date per COVID-19 restrictions, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Ohm. Will the clerk please poll the council?
Mr. Mayor, the motion has passed unanimously.
Thank you very much. We will now go to agenda item number 5. Councilor Weaver, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is resolution number 56, 2021, a resolution amending the fiscal year 2021 general fund budget to reflect the approval of a supplemental budget appropriation in the amount of $187,000, $402, I apologize, for the purposes of purchasing and installing an outdoor fitness court. At issue, the city received a $30,000 grant from the National Fitness Campaign and Colorado Parks and Recreation Association for an outdoor fitness court to be installed at Panorama Park. The total cost to purchase and install the fitness court is $217,402. This resolution will amend the 2021 general fund budget in the amount of $187,402 to use American Rescue Plan Act dollars to fund the remainder of the project. Prior action
That's
was...
all right.
Oh, is that enough?
I think we're good with just the issue
Okay,
statement. Thank you
good.
so much. So this will be a resolution of the council. Mr. Goff, do we have any more presentation on this?
A brief presentation from Karen O'Donnell, our Parks and Rec Director. Good.
Ms. O'Donnell.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm Karen O'Donnell, the Parks and Recreation Director. I wanted to just give a little bit of background because I know not all of you were on council when we first discussed this fitness court, which we came to you when we received the grant at that time. And just a little information on what it is. It's a 38-foot by 38-foot concrete slab with sport tile. There are a few of them in the state. One of them locally is in Lakewood. I don't know if you all have seen it, but it's pretty neat. The flooring, so there's sport tile flooring and then 7 body weight exercise stations, and this can be used year-round. It's a great free outdoor fitness opportunity and can be supplemented with a phone app, so you can get more out of it than just what you would do if you showed up and tried to utilize it on your own with the app. And one of the things that is really great is we know that fitness has been difficult during the pandemic, and we know that this isn't going away anytime soon. So having that outdoor fitness opportunity is great, and therefore it really ties into the American Rescue Plan Act And one of the other things I wanted to mention is we selected Panorama Park after doing a survey of different locations in the city, and we were looking at equity, visibility, accessibility, and connectivity, and specifically factors such as distance from other recreation facilities, median household income, and population density. So Panorama Park came out on top after looking at all of those indicators. So with that, if you have any questions.
Okay, before we go to questions from council, I'll ask for any questions from the public. I don't have anyone signed up to speak on this, but if you have not signed up but would like to speak or are online, you may do so now. I'll go to our clerk and see if anyone has raised their hands to speak on this item.
No, Mr. Mayor.
And it doesn't look like we have any speakers coming forward, so we'll close our public's right to speak on this, and I will go to questions from council. Councilor Hulteen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Karen. It's exciting to see this grant moving forward. I have, I guess, two questions. One has to do with the site selection. I loved the data and using that type of demographics and mapping to really understand, you know, who will be served by this and how is it really reaching the most people. It dawns on me looking at it like our other circuit training equipment is just up the road in the community. Was that something that was taken into consideration when you guys were looking at site selection?
It was. We were really kind of looking at like larger fitness facilities, like if you're considering the Recreation Center, Anderson building, that this was a little further away from those. And just different park amenities that we have. So, I mean, I can give you some of the background data too if you're interested. I think I attached it with the last time we did this presentation, which was 11 months ago, so it's been a while. But I can certainly share that with council if you'd be interested.
That's okay. I took a look at it. I was just
Okay.
sort of curious if you had, I mean, they would be the two kind of open circuit programming that we'd offer in the community or in close proximity to one another. And I just was curious if that had been considered. The other thing that it dawns on me looking at it, I mean, it's pretty complicated. I mean, it is and it isn't complicated equipment. Is the city planning on doing any type of special programming or things to help promote it and engage the community so that A, they know it's there, and second, they know how to use it? I think the app's exciting, but just looking at the equipment, I think people are going to benefit a lot from knowing how it can be used and kind of getting excited and interacting with it.
Absolutely. That we see that there's a lot of opportunity there to certainly engage and educate the community, but then, of course, have programs and events there as well.
Great, thank you.
Additional questions? Director, or Councilor Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment that I think it's great that this is happening in District 1. This is a park that is in the very center of residential areas. And a lot of people walk to this park. It's just a really great location. Kids play soccer there, and there's baseball fields, basketball, you know, courts, so tennis courts also. Mm-hmm. So I'm just very excited about it, and I think it's great for District 1. Thank you.
Director O'Donnell, I have a question about where in the park is it going to be located?
Sure, it's really kind of central in the park. So if you know where that storage shed is,
I do.
right beside that is the most flat space for us to pour concrete without having to do much additional work.
Okay.
So we definitely looked at a few different spots, but it doesn't impact the baseball fields or anything else around it. It fits nicely there. So that was where staff determined was the best location.
Okay. Well, I join Councilor Hutchinson in thanking you for putting that in District 1 at Panorama Park. It's a great park. Any more comments on this before we go to a vote? Yes. Okay, Ms. Weaver, may I have a motion on this item?
All right, yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve resolution number 56, 2021, a resolution amending the fiscal year 2021 general fund budget to reflect the approval of a supplemental budget appropriation in the amount of $1,402 for the purpose of purchasing and installing an outdoor fitness court.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Counselor Hutchinson. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see, that concludes our regular agenda item for tonight. So let us go ahead with city manager's matters. Mr. Goff.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Just a couple quick things. Just as a reminder, we have no meeting next Monday night, so it's a fifth Monday, so enjoy your night off. Also, our holiday lighting ceremony is coming up this Saturday, not this Saturday, but December 4th, Saturday, December 4th, from 3 to 6:30 at the Green on 38th Avenue, so hope everybody can come out for that. And late this evening or late this afternoon, Jeffco Public Health did issue a new public health order requiring masks for all individuals 3 years of age or older in public spaces. This is going to be effective November 24th. So it came out very late. We still have draft public health orders, so we'll make sure we get more information out tomorrow about that when we get it. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. City attorney's matters. Mr. Dahl.
Nothing tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go to elected officials matters and start with our clerk, Mr.
Nothing
Kirkpatrick.
this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll scoot right up to council dais and go to Councilor Nosler-Beck. Thank you. Councilor Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just would like to wish everybody a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Councilor Dozman.
Thank you. I'll echo those comments in saying happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I'm very grateful to serve the community of Wheat Ridge alongside all of you council members. I'm also grateful for staff. And I'm very grateful for our public for engaging throughout this last couple of years. I know it's been challenging and difficult, but I've really been excited about how much participation and engagement there has been in our community, and I want to thank you for participating.
Thank you. Councilor Ohm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank the Planning Commission for their hard work and like to remind the community in District 2 that there's still an opening on the commission. I also want to remind people biking to be careful when biking through Prospect Park, as part of the sidewalk is torn up as they're in the demolition stage. And then Councilmember Weaver and I have asked to add ACUs, accessory commercial units, to a future study session. ACUs are a small-scale neighborhood commercial that is walkable, bikeable from one's home through the neighborhood. Entrepreneurs just starting out may not be able to afford expensive monthly commercial rents or be able to find the staff to start a business. But with ACUs, they could be putting that money towards their home mortgage while working out of their home. Few examples could be selling homemade breads, jams, and computer repair. ACUs could help to organically grow our city's economic tax base. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Stites.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just echo everybody else's sentiments tonight. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And we do have Small Business Saturday coming up this Saturday, so get out and support your local businesses. Every dollar you spend in a local business works harder. A small business works harder than it does in a big chain, so it really does put braces on the kids and the community. It goes to things that matter. So support those small businesses, and if you can find it and buy it in Wheat Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Weaver.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Holteen.
Thank you. Buckle up. I got several things. First of all, Patrick, can you clarify that Jefferson County public health order in public spaces? Does that include indoor and outdoor public spaces?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I apologize. I meant to say it's just public, indoor, privately or publicly owned indoor spaces.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, a couple things here. First of all, I will just start with the obvious, wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving, gobble, gobble, perhaps one of my favorite holidays. And secondly, Patrick or Mr. Dahl, are you familiar with the city's regulations about where dogs are allowed in commercial properties? Are they allowed on patios or inside of like restaurants?
Not offhand, but that's easily researched in the code book. I can do that and send you perhaps an email that is more thoughtful.
Okay, yeah, sorry to spring it on you. It was a impromptu thing. I was bitten by a dog in a restaurant last night, and it dawned on me that maybe that's something that needs to be a little bit.
So dogs
better.
on commercial properties, indoor or outdoor?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Wonderful, thank
Yep.
you. Then I guess the last thing, Patrick, I've contacted you about this, but today just really learned a little bit more about CDOT and some of the federal funding and state funding, and then in particular this new multimodal options fund that's coming through. It is raining transportation funding, and CDOT is really focused on finding shovel-ready projects, and one of the barriers they're facing is municipalities that don't have matching funds for small infrastructure projects. We are about to get $10 million back in our general fund, and so I really hope that we can take a look at how we can capitalize on this money that's coming in. And we're, I think, a very competitive community, especially because we've got some matching funds and some needs for that. So I know you guys are working on it, but I just want to kind of pull it out here because it's an exciting time to invest in infrastructure, and we have needs. And with that, Saturday is Small Business Saturday, and there are some really wonderful places in District 2 to spend those dollars. And I won't start naming them here, but you can look for me on Saturday spending my dollars in District 2 at some of the wonderful places. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will echo my colleagues to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. As the days grow shorter and the nights grow longer, it's a little harder to see people on the streets, so I would ask you to really drive carefully and slowly. Our kids will be out of school. So please remember them. For those of us of a certain age, November 22nd is always the anniversary of the assassination of President Kennedy. And so I ask you to sort of hold that in your hearts and think about what a peaceful transition of power we have in our country and honor that. If there's nothing else to come before council, we will stand adjourned, and happy Thanksgiving.